Winter, 547 BCE. Croesus, king of Lydia, richest man in the known world, stands on the plain of Thymbra watching his empire end. Not by siege, not by starvation, but by animals that shouldn't be on a battlefield. 60,000 Lydian cavalry of a fool. The most feared horsemen in Asia Minor scatter like leaves. Their horses bolt, nostrils flared, eyes white with terror. What breaks them? Camels. 300 camels pulled from Persian baggage trains. How does the wealthiest king in history lose everything to pack animals? What happens when the smell of camel hair rewrites the map of the ancient world? Lydia sits at the western edge of Anatolia. River Pactolus runs through it, carrying gold flakes. By 600 BCE, Croesus controls the richest kingdom west of Babylon. His capital, Sardis, mints the first gold coins in human history. Greek city-states on the coast pay him tribute. Egyptian pharaohs send him gifts. He marries his sister Arienes to Astyages, king of the Medes, locking in an alliance that should guarantee security for generations. Then, in 550 BCE, everything shifts. Cyrus the Persian, grandson of Astyages, overthrows his grandfather. The Lydian Empire falls in weeks. Cyrus absorbs their armies, their tactics, their territory. Now Persia sits directly across the Halys River from Lydia. Croesus watches his buffer state vanish. 547 BCE. Spring. Croesus consults the oracle at Delphi. He sends massive gold offerings. Herodotus records the amounts in his Histories Book 1, chapters 46 through 53. Gold ingots, silver bowls, a golden lion weighing 250 kilograms. The oracle gives him the answer every king wants to hear. If you cross the Halys and attack Persia, you will destroy a great empire. Croesus believes it. He crosses the Halys with an army estimated by Xenophon's Cyropaedia at 420,000 men. Modern scholars like Paul Kay. Davis in his 100 Decisive Battles published in 1999 suggest the real number sits closer to 100,000. Either way, Croesus outnumbers Cyrus 2 to 1, maybe 3 to 1. He has Lydian heavy cavalry, Egyptian phalanx infantry, Babylonian contingents, Phrygian levies, Cappadocian troops, Greek mercenaries from every city-state in Ionia, Battle of Pateria, autumn 547 BCE. Croesus meets Cyrus in Cappadocia. The fight lasts all day. Herodotus describes casualties as heavy on both sides, but gives no final count. Neither army breaks. As sunset comes, both commanders pull back. Croesus makes his decision. Winter approaches. He disbands most of his army. Mercenaries go home. Lydian levies return to farms. He keeps his core cavalry and heads back to Sardis. Standard practice. Nobody campaigns in winter. Cyrus should do the same. Cyrus doesn't. The Persian army doesn't stop marching. No winter camp. No disbandment. Cyrus drives his forces west through snow and cold. According to the World History Encyclopedia article on the Battle of Thymbra, published November 3rd, 2022, Cyrus ignores the advice of his generals who tell him to wait. He covers the distance to Sardis faster than messengers can carry warning. Croesus learns the Persians are coming when Persian scouts appear on the horizon. He has days, not weeks. He recalls what troops he can. Lydian cavalry answers the call. Some infantry returns. The Egyptian contingent of 120,000 men that Xenophon mentions in Cyropaedia, Book 7, arrives early, breaking their winter quarters. Allied reinforcements from Babylon, Egypt under Pharaoh Amasis, Sparta, none of them make it in time. Croesus faces Cyrus with whatever he has. December 547 BCE, plain of Thymbra, 6 kilometers north of Sardis, modern archaeological site near Hanai Tepe. Croesus fields approximately 60,000 cavalry, maybe 40,000 infantry. Xenophon claims 420,000 total, but scholars like Brian Todd Carey in his Warfare in the Ancient World published 2006 estimate closer to 100,000 actual combatants. Cyrus fields somewhere between 20,000 and 50,000. Sources conflict. Xenophon says 196,000. Modern estimates from the same Carey work suggest 20,000 Persians, maybe 30,000 total with Median, Armenian, and Arab auxiliaries. Cyrus has infantry, archers, 10,000 elite guards, possibly the early formation of what becomes the Persian Immortals, 300 war chariots, and 5 or 6 mobile siege towers, wooden platforms on wheels, each holding 20 archers. If you value documented ancient military history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Xenophon's Cyropaedia, books 6 and 7, written around 354 BCE based on eyewitness Persian accounts. And Herodotus's Histories Book 1, chapter 79 through 91, written circa 440 BCE. We also reference the July 24th, 2018 archaeological report from Nicholas Cahill's excavation team at Sardis, published in multiple Turkish archaeological journals and covered by ArchaeoNews on August 13th, 2024, which uncovered physical remains from this battle, including 2 Lydian soldier skeletons with sword wounds and a sling stone. Now back to the information. Croesus deploys traditionally long parallel lines, heavy cavalry on both flanks, Egyptian phalanx infantry in the center, war chariots forward. The Lydian cavalry represents the kingdom's main striking power. These riders wear scale armor, carry axes, lances, shields. Their horses are bred for size and aggression. According to Battles and Campaigns blog post from December 19th, 2016, analyzing the tactical details, Lydian cavalry at this period surpasses all other mounted forces in Western Asia. They train for years. They fight in formation. Their charge breaks infantry lines like axes through wood. Croesus plans to use them to envelop Cyrus's smaller force, wrap around the flanks, crush the center. Cyrus deploys differently. Square formation, not a line, a box. Infantry and siege towers in the center, flanks pulled back. Cavalry and chariots on the wings, but echeloned, held in reserve. It's a defensive formation with gaps. Croesus sees the gaps. He thinks he sees victory. Then Cyrus makes his move. He takes camels from the baggage train, 300 of them, not war camels, pack animals, the ones carrying supplies, tents, food. Persian officer named Harpagus, according to Herodotus, or possibly Cyrus himself, according to Xenophon's account, notices something during reconnaissance. Lydian horses have never been around camels. Persian cavalry trains with camels from childhood because Persia sits on trade routes where camels move goods between the Iranian plateau and the steppes. Horses and camels together, normal for Persians, revolutionary for Lydians. Cyrus strips riders off the camels, arms them with spears and bows, mounts them on the camels, 2 per animal, 1 to guide, 1 to fight, according to Ctesias of Cnidus's Persica, referenced in the La Brujula Verde article from November 12th, 2025. He positions these improvised camel cavalry units forward on both flanks. 300 camels means potentially 600 fighters if Ctesias's 2-rider configuration holds. Behind them, Persian cavalry waits. Behind them, infantry in tight formation. In the center, archers in the mobile siege towers. Battle begins. Lydian cavalry advances. 60,000 horsemen in 2 massive wings. The ground shakes. Dust rises. This is what they train for, the envelopment maneuver. Swing wide. Close the pincers. Destroy the Persian square. They come in fast. Then they hit the camel screen. 500 meters out. Lydian horses smell it. Camel scent carries far. It's acrid, foreign, wrong. Horses raised in Anatolia have never encountered it. Their nostrils flare. Ears go back. Some slow, some stop. The formation starts to ripple. At 300 meters, horses see the camels, large humped silhouettes. Nothing in their experience matches it. More horses balk. Riders spur them forward. Training holds for some. For others, instinct wins. At 100 meters, full chaos. Herodotus writes in Histories, Book 1, Chapter 80, that horses smelled and saw the camels and turned tail. Xenophon in Cyropaedia, Book 7, Chapter 1, verse 27, describes horses giving way, some taking fright and running, others rearing, still others plunging into each other. The Lydian cavalry charge disintegrates. Not completely, not all at once, but enough. Sections of the formation scatter, horses bolt sideways, riders lose control, others dismount and try to steady their mounts. The wings that should sweep around the Persian flanks instead fragment. Persian archers on the siege towers open fire. 20 men per tower, 5 towers minimum. 100 archers elevated 8 meters above the battlefield with clear lines of sight. They target the gaps that appear as Lydian cavalry wheels inward. According to Xenophon's account in Cyropaedia, Book 7, the Lydian flanks swing in to envelop the novel camel formation just as Cyrus expects. As the flanks wheel, gaps appear at the hinges, the points where cavalry transitions from forward movement to turning movement. Those gaps expose flanks and rear ranks. Persian arrows concentrate there. Overhead fire. Disorder increases. Cyrus signals. Persian cavalry and chariots surge forward from both wings. They crash into the disorganized Lydian formations. Hand-to-hand fighting. Swords, spears, axes. The Lydians fight. Herodotus notes they don't turn coward. When they realize what's happening, they leap off their horses and engage on foot. Both sides take heavy losses. But the Lydian cavalry, deprived of mobility, deprived of formation cohesion, can't execute their envelopment. Persian infantry advances from the square. They hit Lydian cavalry from multiple angles. Xenophon describes Cyrus's flank units smashing into Croesus's disorganized wings, the Camel Corps itself, less effective as actual combat troops. Xenophon admits in Cyropaedia Book 7, Chapter 1, verse 48, that the camels did nothing more than frighten horses. Their riders could neither kill anyone nor be killed by enemy cavalry because not a horse would come near them. But tactical impact, massive. The camels don't need to fight, they just need to exist. They break the Lydian battle plan by breaking Lydian horses. Battle turns. Lydian cavalry loses cohesion completely. Sections retreat. Others fight in place but surrounded. The Egyptian phalanx in the center holds, but now faces Persian forces from 3 directions because the flanks have collapsed. According to the Xenophon's account, the Egyptians distinguished themselves in the battle, fighting harder and longer than any other unit. But numbers tell. Cyrus has kept most of his army intact. Croesus has lost most of his cavalry. The outcome becomes clear. Lydian army breaks. Survivors flee toward Sardis. Croesus goes with them. The plain of Thymbra fills with dead. Modern estimates suggest thousands of casualties on both sides, though exact numbers don't survive in the sources. What survives? Archaeological evidence. 2018 excavation season at Sardis, led by Nicholas Cahill from the University of Wisconsin. Team uncovers a section of the monumental city wall. At its base, in a destruction layer dated to 546 BCE, they find 2 skeletons. Young men, ages 20 to 26, sword wounds on skulls and arms, bone compression indicating heavy armor. One holds a stone in his palm. Sling ammunition, no burial, no ceremony, bodies thrown into rubble when the wall was deliberately destroyed. Cahill's report, covered in the Daily Saba on August 15th, 2024, and Archaeonews on August 13th, 2024, identifies them as Lydian soldiers based on position and treatment. Victors don't throw their own dead into destruction rubble. Alongside the skeletons, excavators find a Lydian helmet, spear points, sword fragments, arrowheads, physical proof of what Herodotus and Xenophon describe. The battle happened. The destruction happened. Persian victory was complete. Croesus reaches Sardis, closes the gates. The city sits on a steep acropolis. Walls circle it. Parts of those walls rest on cliffs so sheer the defenders leave them unguarded, believing no one can climb them. Croesus still has troops. He has supplies. He has wealth. He expects reinforcements. Spartans promise to help. They're fighting Argos, but should finish soon. Egyptians should march. Babylonians under King Nabonidus might come. He just needs to hold. Cyrus arrives. Siege begins. 14 days, not months, not years. 14 days. December 547 BCE into January 546 BCE. Herodotus describes it in Histories, Book 1, chapters 84 through 86. Persian soldiers probe the walls. Most sections hold. Defenders repel attacks. Then, on day 14, a Persian soldier named Herodotus watches a Lydian defender climb down the supposedly unclimbable cliff section to retrieve a dropped helmet. Herodotus follows the route, makes it to the top. Other Persians see him succeed. They swarm the exposed wall section. No defenders guard it because everyone believes the cliff makes it impossible. Persians pour through. City falls. Croesus captured. Sources conflict on what happens next. Herodotus claims Cyrus initially orders him burned alive on a pyre. Fire gets lit. Then, either Croesus calls out the name of Solon, the Athenian philosopher who once visited Sardis and told Croesus that no man should be called happy until he's dead, which makes Cyrus curious and he stops the execution. Or Apollo sends a rainstorm that douses the flames. Different versions. Either way, Croesus survives. Cyrus keeps him as an advisor. The Nabonidus Chronicle, a Babylonian cuneiform text, has a damaged section that some scholars interpret as describing the killing of the Lydian king, but the reading remains disputed. Majority of sources suggest Croesus lives. Lydia ends. Persian Empire absorbs it. Greek cities on the Ionian coast become Persian subjects. This brings Persia and Greece into direct contact. The groundwork for the Persian Wars. 50 years later starts here on the plain of Thymbra. Cyrus takes Lydian wealth, Lydian territory, Lydian gold mines, Lydian minting techniques. The Croesus, the gold coin Croesus invented, continues under Persian control, but at reduced weight. 8.06 grams instead of 10.7 grams, according to Wikipedia's article on Cyrus the Great, updated November 16th, 2025. More coins from less gold. Persia floods the empire with standardized currency. What about the tactic? Does anyone use camels in battle again? Yes. Camel cavalry becomes an established Persian military arm. The smell advantage works repeatedly. Battle of Karkar. 853 BCE, predates Thymbra by 300 years. Arab king Gindabu uses 1,000 camels according to Assyrian records, making it the first recorded military use of camels per the Wikipedia article on camel cavalry, updated October 22nd, 2025. But Thymbra makes it famous. The Achaemenid Persians under Cambyses II used camel troops in the conquest of Egypt 525 BCE. Darius I employs them in campaigns against Scythia 513 BCE and in India 520 BCE. The tactic spreads. Romans later form dromedary units, camel-mounted scouts and desert patrol forces, using the same principle. Arab armies make camel cavalry standard. Mongols encounter it. Even Napoleon forms a camel corps for the Egyptian campaign, 1798 CE. But none matched Thymbra's impact because Thymbra isn't just about tactics. It's about seeing the obvious thing no one else sees. Cyrus doesn't invent camels, doesn't breed war camels, doesn't train special troops. He grabs baggage animals and thinks, what happens if we put them where enemy horses can smell them? That's it. Simplicity, horses hate camels. Lydians never train around camels. Therefore, camels break Lydian cavalry. 3 logical steps. Change the world. Military historians study Thymbra for the force multiplier concept. Small intervention, massive effect. 300 camels neutralize 60,000 cavalry. Not through combat. Through biology, horses are flight animals. Unfamiliar large mammals trigger flight response. Persian commanders understand this. Lydian commanders don't. Information asymmetry decides the battle before swords cross. Brian Todd Carey writes in his War History Network article published October 19th, 2024, that both Medes and Persians, coming from the steppes, understand horses need training around strange sights, smells, sounds of camels to be effective. Same principle applies to elephants. Persian horses train around camels from youth. Lydian horses don't. Cyrus gambles that Croesus's excellent cavalry has never served around camels. Gamble pays. Modern military doctrine studies Thymbra as an example of exploiting enemy assumptions. Croesus assumes winter protects him. Wrong. Cyrus marches through winter. Croesus assumes his cavalry superiority guarantees victory. Wrong. Cyrus finds the one thing that negates cavalry superiority. Croesus assumes traditional tactics apply. Wrong. Cyrus invents new tactics on the spot using available resources. Every assumption Croesus makes, Cyrus breaks. The square formation itself becomes doctrine. Later Persian armies use it repeatedly. Infantry center, protected flanks, cavalry in echelon for counterattack. Romans study it, Byzantines adapt it. The principle, create a defensive center that baits enemy attack. Then counterattack with mobile reserves into gaps created by enemy overextension, shows up in military manuals for 2,000 years. What happens to the physical battlefield? Thymbra Plain, 6 kilometers north of Sardis, near modern Hanai Tepe, gets farmed over. Centuries of plowing. No preserved battlefield like Waterloo or Gettysburg. Archaeological evidence comes from Sardis itself, from the destruction layer. The 2018 excavations represent the first physical confirmation of battle damage, matching the ancient descriptions. Cahill's team finds not just the 2 soldier skeletons, but evidence of systematic destruction. Walls knocked down, buildings burned. The archaeological report notes compression damage in the soldiers, bones consistent with wearing heavy armor, sword cuts on skulls, defense wounds on arms. One soldier clutching a sling stone suggests he died fighting, weapon in hand. Additional finds include arrowheads of different styles. Some bronze, some iron, some match Persian types, others Lydian. This mix indicates combat between 2 different military traditions. Helmet fragments show Lydian style, conical bronze with cheek guards. No complete Persian helmets found yet, but that absence makes sense given victors recover and reuse equipment. The defeated get thrown in rubble. The victorious take their gear home. Coins from the destruction layer date to Croesus's reign. Lydian silver fractions, early electrum pieces. After 546 BCE, the coinage changes. Persian style appears. Derricks and Sigloy eventually replace crucids. The numismatic record confirms what the texts say. Regime change, complete, permanent. Temperature matters, December campaign in Anatolia. Xenophon mentions it repeatedly in Cyropaedia. Cold, wet. Armies don't campaign in winter because cold kills, reduces combat effectiveness, makes supply lines impossible. Croesus counts on this. Every general in the ancient world counts on this. Cyrus ignores it. His army marches through conditions that should stop them. How? Persian troops come from the Iranian plateau. Cold winters are normal. They have clothing. They have logistics. They have motivation. Cyrus promises plunder. Modern historians, from Cave Farrak's Shadows in the Desert, published 2009 note Persian armies excel at forced marches and winter operations compared to Mediterranean armies. Cultural advantage. Persians grow up in environments where you operate in cold or you die. Lydians grow up in mild Mediterranean climate. When winter hits, Persian advantage multiplies. Croesus makes one more mistake. He trusts the oracle. Delphi tells him he'll destroy a great empire if he attacks Persia. He does destroy a great empire. His own. The oracle never specified which empire falls. Herodotus writes about this in History's Book 1, Chapter 91. After the defeat, Croesus sends messengers to Delphi asking why the oracle deceived him. Delphi responds that the prophecy was accurate. Croesus should have asked follow-up questions. Which empire will be destroyed? When Croesus complained about misunderstanding, the oracle tells him he received exactly what was prophesied. The oracle also mentions that Croesus's defeat was fated from the moment his ancestor Gyges murdered King Candoles and usurped the Lydian throne around 680 BCE. Divine retribution takes 5 generations, but it comes. The Mermnad dynasty that Gyges founded ends with Croesus. Justice. Whether you believe divine prophecy or think the oracle crafted deliberately ambiguous statements that work regardless of outcome, the effect remains the same. Croesus acts on information he thinks guarantees success. Information is wrong or misinterpreted. Disaster follows. Intelligence failure in the ancient world looks like bad prophecy. Intelligence failure in the modern world looks like bad intelligence estimates. Result? Same. Armies march into traps thinking they'll win. Cyrus consolidates. 546 BCE through 539 BCE. He expands, takes Elam, takes Babylon, takes Central Asian territories. By 530 BCE, when he dies fighting the Massage Te, he controls the largest empire in history up to that point, 5.5 million square kilometers. Thymbra starts it. Without Lydia's wealth and territory, Persia doesn't have resources for Babylon. Without Babylon, Persia doesn't control Mesopotamia. Without Mesopotamia, the Achaemenid Empire doesn't reach its peak under Darius I. Every major Persian achievement traces back to Cyrus. Every Cyrus achievement traces back to overthrowing the Medes and conquering Lydia. The hinge point, Thymbra. 300 camels. Military technology evolves. Soldiers adapt. Lydian horses couldn't handle camels in 547 BCE. 50 years later, Greek horses train around various animals because Greek generals study Persian tactics. Alexander the Great faces Persian forces with camels at Gaugamela in 331 BCE. His cavalry doesn't panic. They've trained. Information spreads. Adaptation follows. But that first time at Thymbra, no adaptation, no training, no defense, just chaos. Do the sources exaggerate? Possibly. And Xenophon's Cyropaedia is partly historical, partly biographical novel. He never claims perfect accuracy. He writes to teach leadership principles using Cyrus as the model. Numbers inflate, conversations get invented, but core tactics described in Cyropaedia match what Herodotus independently reports. 2 sources, different time periods, different purposes, same basic story. Camels frighten Lydian horses. Cavalry scatters. Persians win. The details might blur, but the outline holds. Modern scholars like Joshua B. Alfrey and John Cairns in Warfare in the Ancient World published 2006 accept the camel tactic as historical, because it's too specific and too weird to fabricate. Fiction invents grand cavalry charges and heroic duels. History gives you pack animals breaking the finest cavalry in Asia Minor because of smell. Croesus's wealth? Real. Archaeology confirms it. Excavations at Sardis throughout the 20th and 21st centuries uncover evidence of gold working, coin minting, massive fortifications. The city was rich. Herodotus doesn't exaggerate that part. Pactolus River really did carry gold. Lydian mines really did produce precious metals. Greek city-states really did pay tribute. When Cyrus takes Sardis, he takes literal treasure chambers. That gold funds his next campaigns. Return to the dead, the 2 soldiers in the rubble, found 2,500 years later, no names, no inscriptions, just bones and wounds and 1 sling stone. They probably died during the siege, not the field battle. Sword wounds suggest close combat, city fighting, house to house. When Persians breach the walls on day 14, fighting spills into streets. These 2 get cut down somewhere near the monumental wall. When Cyrus orders the fortifications destroyed to prevent future rebellion, their bodies go into the rubble with bricks and broken weapons. No burial, because they're enemies. Maybe no time, because sieges end in chaos and Cyrus's army wants plunder. Not burial details. Their bones tell stories, though. 20 to 26 years old. Prime military age. Bone compression from heavy armor means they're not peasant levies pressed into service. They're equipped soldiers. Training shows and healed fractures from earlier combat. These men fought before, survived before, didn't survive Sardis. The slingstone, common weapon, cheap, effective. Shepherds use slings. Armies use slings. David killed Goliath with a sling according to Hebrew texts. A range of 50 to 100 meters. Stone velocity matches arrow velocity. Hits hard enough to crack skulls. The soldier holding it probably used slings his whole life. Muscle memory. When the Persians came, he grabbed ammunition. Fought. Died. Professor Cahill states in his August 2024 interview with Turkish press that these bones and artifacts bear traces of Persian rule, which had significant impact on the history of Western Anatolia. The destruction they document matches textual accounts. Sardis falls violently. The archaeology doesn't contradict the ancient sources. It confirms them. Does Croesus survive? Majority evidence says yes. The Nabonidus Chronicle has that disputed passage that might reference the death of Lydia's king, but textual corruption makes certainty impossible. Herodotus, writing closer to the events, says Croesus lives. Xenophon agrees. Bacchylides. The poet says Apollo carries Croesus away to Hyperborea, clearly mythological embellishment. Ctesias says Cyrus gives Croesus a city near Ecbatana as residence and consults him regularly. Multiple independent sources suggest survival. If Cyrus killed Croesus immediately, why would later sources invent survival stories? The pattern makes sense if Croesus actually lives, captured kings become advisors. Persian policy under Cyrus favors incorporation over extermination. He keeps Median nobles in service, keeps Lydian administrators. Keeping Croesus fits the pattern. What does Croesus advise on? According to Herodotus, he tells Cyrus to prevent Persian soldiers from plundering Sardis by framing it as plundering Cyrus's own property. It works. Cyrus orders discipline. Later, Croesus supposedly warns Cyrus about the massage take campaign that eventually kills him. Cyrus ignores that advice. Ironic. The man who conquered him by ignoring conventional wisdom dies because he ignores good advice. Herodotus loves that kind of symmetry. Whether it's historical symmetry or literary symmetry is debatable. The camels themselves, forgotten except in military history. Xenophon admits in Cyropaedia, Book 7, Chapter 1, verse 49, that no gentleman is willing to keep a camel for riding or to practice for fighting in war upon one. Camels remain pack animals and transport in Persia. Not prestigious, the immortals get the glory. The cavalry gets the glory. Camels get used when needed, then returned to baggage duty. But that one day on Thymbra Plain, they rewrite history. If you value this level of documented research into ancient tactics and battles that changed civilizations, subscribe. Comment your city. This is what deep historical investigation looks like. Final assessment, Battle of Thymbra, December 547 BCE. Approximate combatants, Persians 20,000 to 50,000, Lydians 60,000 to 100,000. Persian victory. Lydian cavalry neutralized by camel anti-cavalry screen. Square formation with echelon reserves, defeats traditional linear deployment. Siege of Sardis follows immediately. City falls in 14 days to Persian assault through unguarded cliff section on day 14. Croesus captured. Lydia annexed into Achaemenid Persian Empire. Ionian Greeks become Persian subjects. Set stage for Persian expansion into Babylon by 539 BCE and eventual Persian wars, with Greece beginning 500 BCE. Western Anatolia remains under Persian control until Alexander the Great conquers it 330 BCE. Tactical innovations, improvised camel cavalry, mobile siege towers used in field battles, square formation with withdrawn flanks, winter campaigning as force multiplier, exploitation of enemy training deficiencies, strategic innovations, rapid pursuit preventing enemy reconsolidation, attacking when opponent expects seasonal truce, using wealth of conquered territory to fund next conquest, integrating defeated armies into victors' forces, archaeological confirmation, Nicholas Cahill excavation team at Sardis, 2018 season, destruction layer dated to 546 BCE, 2 Lydian soldier skeletons ages 20 to 26 with combat trauma including sword wounds to skull and arms, sling stone and palm of 1 soldier, no burial evidence, bodies discarded in rubble during deliberate fortification destruction. Associated artifacts include Lydian helmet fragments, bronze and iron arrowheads, sword fragments. Published in Turkish archaeological reports and covered by Archaeonews, August 13th, 2024. Daily Sabah, August 15th, 2024. Anadolu Agency, August same month. Tehran. Times, August 14th, 2024. Primary sources. Herodotus Histories. Book 1 chapters 6 through 95. written approximately 440 BCE based on oral accounts and temple records from Delphi and elsewhere. Xenophon, Cyropaedia, books 6 and 7, written approximately 354 BCE based on Persian archives and Greek mercenary accounts from service in Persia. Both sources independently confirm camel tactic, Lydian cavalry disruption, Persian victory, siege duration of 14 days, capture of Croesus. Sources disagree on army sizes. Xenophon inflates to 196,000 Persians versus 420,000 Lydians. Herodotus gives no numbers but confirms proportions favor Lydians, and fate of Croesus after capture, but core narrative remains consistent across accounts. Secondary analysis, Paul K. Davis 100. Decisive Battles, published 1999, provides modern reassessment of army sizes and concludes likely numbers are 20,000 to 50,000 Persians versus 60,000 to 100,000 Lydians. Brian Todd Carey Warfare in the Ancient World, published 2006, analyzes tactical deployment and confirms square formation with camel screen matches, Persian combined arms doctrine. Kaveh Farrak Shadows in the Desert, published 2009, examines Persian military culture and winter operations capacity. World History Encyclopedia article on Battle of Thymbra by Joshua J. Mark published November 3rd, 2022, synthesizes classical sources and modern scholarship. All modern sources accept historicity of camel tactic because specificity and biological mechanism, horses, fear response to unfamiliar large mammals, is not invented by ancient authors seeking to glorify one side or the other. Geographic context, Thymbra Plain, 6 kilometers north of Sardis, near modern Hanay Tepe in Manisa province, western Turkey. Sardis sits at approximately 38.48 degrees north, 28.04 degrees east, elevation 450 meters, climate Mediterranean. December temperatures range 5 to 15 degrees Celsius, frequent rain. Terrain consists of alluvial plain suitable for cavalry operations, bounded by hills to east and south. Halys River, ancient border between Lydia and Media, then Lydia and Persia, sits approximately 350 kilometers east. Pactolus River runs through Sardis, carrying gold particles eroded from Mount Tmolus. Sardis Acropolis rises approximately 200 meters above plain with steep cliffs on multiple sides. Cultural context, Croesus represents the Myrmnad dynasty, fifth and final ruler after Gyges, Ardys, Sadyates, and Aliates. Gyges founded dynasty by murdering King Candoles around 680 BCE per Herodotus account, in History's Book 1, chapters 8 through 14. Lydians control western Anatolia, including Greek cities of Ephesus, Miletus, Smyrna. Lydian invention of coinage revolutionizes economy. Gold-silver alloy electrum coins, followed by separate gold and silver issues under Croesus, around 560 BCE per numismatic evidence from British Museum and Bibliotheca Nationale collections. Lydian wealth from Pactolus gold and control of east-west trade routes becomes proverbial. Expression rich as Croesus enters Greek language. Cyrus represents New Persian power, born around 600 BCE. Overthrows Median grandfather Astyages around 550 BCE in coup supported by Median nobility, dissatisfied with Astyages' rule. Absorbs Median military, administrative structure, territory. Creates combined Persian-Median army. Forms elite guard unit later called Immortals. 10,000 heavy infantry maintained at constant strength through immediate replacement, per Herodotus History's Book 7, Chapter 83. After Lydia, conquers Elam 540 BCE, Babylon 539 BCE, Central Asian territories through 530 BCE, dies fighting Massagetae tribe in 530 BCE. His empire becomes foundation for Achaemenid dynasty, continuing through Cambyses II, Darius I, Xerxes I until Alexander conquers it 330 BCE. Religious context, Oracle of Delphi dominates Greek decision-making. Croesus sends massive offerings documented by Herodotus, silver crater holding 600 amphorae, gold ingots, golden lion on pyramid of gold ingots, silver bowls, women's jewelry. Total value estimated at several tons of precious metal per. The Histories volume, 1 notes. Oracle priests consult Apollo through Pythia priestess, who enters trance state, speaks prophecies. Ambiguous phrasing protects Oracle's reputation regardless of outcome. Croesus interprets destroy a great empire as destroying Persia. Oracle later claims prophecy was accurate. Croesus did destroy a great empire, his own. Similar ambiguous prophecies appear in other consultations documented by Herodotus. System functions as information exchange and political influence mechanism disguised as divine communication. Economic context. Lydia controls gold supply for eastern Mediterranean. Coinage spreads from Lydia through Greek world, enabling market economy. Standing armies funded by tax collection in money rather than goods. Mercenary forces paid in standardized currency. Croesus can afford Egyptian mercenaries, Greek hoplites, Babylonian auxiliaries, because he pays in coins everyone accepts. When Persia takes Lydia, takes minting capacity. Cyrus issues Persian versions of Croesus stater at reduced weight, extending money supply. Daric gold coin named for Darius becomes standard currency across empire by 500 BCE. Economic control follows military control. Succession context. After Thymbra, Lydia never regains independence. Persian satrapy for 200 years. Alexander conquers region 330 BCE. Seleucid control follows. Pergamene kingdom emerges. Roman province by 1st century BCE. Byzantine control for 1,000 years. Ottoman Empire takes region 1400 CE. Modern Turkey controls territory today. Sardis becomes regional city, then town, then archaeological site. Excavations begin early 20th century under American teams. From Princeton, then Harvard, now University of Wisconsin. Continuous dig season since 1958. Ongoing. More remains likely buried. Technology context. Iron weapons, standard by 547 BCE. Bronze, still used for armor, horse fittings, some weapons. Composite bows provide range advantage. Lydian cavalry carries axes, lances, swords. Persian infantry uses wicker shields covered leather per Herodotus description. Short spears, swords, bows, scale armor for both sides. Scythed chariots, chariots with blades extending from axles, appear in Persian forces per Xenophon. Early use of anti-personnel blades on vehicles. Mobile siege towers represent sophisticated engineering. Wheeled wooden platforms providing elevated shooting positions for archers in field battles, prefiguring later siege warfare development. Slings use lead shot or stones. Effective to 100 meters. No gunpowder, no crossbows, no stirrups. Cavalry fights without them. Uses pressure from knees and balance. Warfare fundamentals remain consistent from 800 BCE to 300 BCE across Mediterranean and Near East. The sling stone in the dead soldier's hand, found 2,500 years later, connects us directly to that December day. He loaded it, swung it, maybe threw it, maybe didn't get the chance. Persians came through the wall, and sword met flesh before sling could loose. The stone stayed in his grip through death and through millennia of burial until Professor Cahill's team brushed dirt away in 2018 and saw it. Consider the chain reaction. Battle of Thymbra leads to Siege of Sardis. Siege of Sardis leads to annexation of Lydia. Annexation of Lydia leads to Persian control of Ionian Greeks. Ionian Greeks under Persian rule eventually revolt in 499 BCE, triggering the Ionian Revolt. Persia sends expeditions to punish Athens and Eretria for supporting the revolt. First Persian invasion, 490 BCE, gets stopped at Marathon. Second Persian invasion, 480 BCE, under Xerxes, brings 300 Spartans to Thermopylae and the Greek fleet to Salamis. Persian wars dominate 5th century BCE Greek history. Athens rises to power. Delian League forms. Golden Age of Athens. Peloponnesian War. Macedonian conquest. Alexander invades Persia. Without Thymbra, does this chain exist? Maybe. Maybe not. History has multiple causes, but Thymbra sits early in the sequence. Remove it, and trajectories shift. Macedonian connection deepens the chain. Alexander studies Persian military tactics. His father, Philip, trains Macedonian cavalry. Where do they get information? From Greek mercenaries who served Persia, from historians like Xenophon who marched with Persian armies. From strategic analysis of Persian victories, Thymbra gets studied because Cyrus wins against numerical odds using unconventional tactics. Alexander at Gaugamela, 331 BCE, deploys in depth with reserves, similar to Cyrus's echeloned wings. Coincidence? Or transmitted knowledge? Military doctrine spreads through study, through veterans, through written accounts. Cyropaedia circulates through the Greek world. Alexander reportedly carries a copy. Lessons from Thymbra influence battles 200 years later. The camel principle extends beyond animals. Core lesson: exploit enemy gaps in training and experience. Whatever your opponent hasn't encountered, use it. Romans do this with engineering. Germanic tribes see Roman siege works for the first time and can't counter them. Mongols do it with mobility. European knights face mounted archery they've never trained against. Each technological or tactical innovation creates a window where forces without counter-training get destroyed. That window closes as adaptation spreads. At Thymbra, the window is wide open. Lydian cavalry encounters camels for the first time in the middle of the battle. No preparation, no doctrinal response, pure chaos. 50 years later, that advantage diminishes as horse training methods spread, but first mover advantage wins battles. Logistics of the siege reveal Persian capabilities. 14 days to take a fortified city isn't fast by modern standards, but for ancient sieges, it's remarkable. Sardis has walls, supplies, defenders. How does it fall so quickly? First, the camel tactic and Thymbra victory means Cyrus besieges with his army intact, while Croesus has lost most of his cavalry. Numbers favor attackers. Second, Persian siege towers and engineers have experience from conquering media. They know how to approach walls, build ramps, scale heights. Third, the unguarded cliff section represents defensive failure. Someone should be watching. No one is. Human error compounds. Fourth, Persian infantry has morale from recent victory, while Lydian defenders have demoralization from recent defeat. Psychological advantage matters. Fifth, Cyrus offers rewards for first troops to breach. Incentive structure drives aggressive assault. All these factors together, numerical advantage, engineering skill, defensive error, morale gap, reward system, produce rapid victory. Post-battle treatment of dead varies by culture and circumstances. The two Lydian soldiers dumped in rubble suggest Persian contempt or pragmatic disregard. Victors don't have obligation to honor defeated, but more likely, massive casualties and desire to quickly destroy fortifications mean bodies get cleared without ceremony. After street fighting, you clear the dead so you can move. Religious rituals for enemy dead don't happen. This isn't cruelty specific to Persians, it's standard practice. Compare it to medieval battles where dead lie in the field for days or weeks until local peasants bury them for pay. Compare it to American Civil War battles where burial details work for weeks. Ancient battles produce corpses. Someone has to deal with them. If you're the victor, you deal with your own first. Enemy dead are lower priority. Hence, soldiers ending up in destruction rubble. The helmet found with the skeletons adds detail. Lydian style, conical bronze. Cheek guards, heavy, worn for hours during battle. It causes neck strain, limits vision, muffles sound, but provides crucial protection. Both skeletons have head wounds, meaning swords got through or struck from angles the helmets didn't cover. Combat archaeology reveals how people actually died. Not clean deaths, not heroic deaths, messy deaths from multiple impacts. That's the detail that makes history real, not armies clashing abstractly, not kings making decisions in palaces, but a 20-something-year-old Lydian soldier with a stone in his hand and his skull split open defending a wall that couldn't be defended. The Persian Empire rises over his body. Cyrus's camels started it. The soldier's death confirms it. The stone proves it.